quite some time. As of recently, Viper, haven't you recently gotten into streaming as well on Twitch?
Yes, I've been doing it about roughly 2 weeks now.
Hmm. What are your initial thoughts?
Um, if you don't know what you're doing, I would definitely find someone that does know at least a little bit. You have helped me out quite a bit, and you've even told me that uh, you have. I've shown you some stuff that you didn't know about,
Hmm.
and then up on stuff that it took you years to pick up on.
Yep. I've been doing it for 6 years, and as my dad always said, you can always learn something new.
Right. And the day, well, you learn new stuff till the day you die.
Hmm.
You're never too old to learn. I'm 36 myself, so this is a complete new trip for me, and I'm so far I'm interested. I'm keeping my hopes up. It is a long trip. I know as of right now, in 2 weeks, I've got 21 followers. Uh,
Nice.
I've had viewers from China to Australia and Canada has been the main three as of right now, and the U.S.
And what particular games do you like to play the most? Like what are your what is your
As
forte when it comes to gaming, streaming?
as of right now, it's been mainly Modern Warfare 2, COD. Also, I'm actually fixing to start up. I get to stream about 3 days, or three, no, 4 nights a week,
Hmm.
and I've got about three different games that I'm playing. So one night I'm going to be doing Asphalt Legends 9. I just downloaded that one and played a little bit on it to make sure I was going to be able to at least be entertaining while playing it.
Hmm.
And enjoy it, because if you're not enjoying what you're playing, you're not going to encourage people to watch.
This is true. This is true.
Uh, then I've got, like I said, Asphalt Legends 9. I have Eve Online, which you had brought me into. I've been playing that for about a year and a half now.
Hmm.
And then of course Cold War, or well, not Cold War. Well, play a little bit of Cold War still, but mainly Modern Warfare 2. But a variety of content is also it's also probably a pretty good idea.
What about content? What like do you are you have you done any content yet? Have you started to make anything in terms of content? Or maybe you would like to give a little definition of what content is.
Content, the way I understand it as of right now, is you've got two different ways of doing it. You have your live stream content, and then you have your pre-recorded, where you actually record it and then you go back in, you redefine it, you tune it up a little bit with different music, or you add, you over, what do they call it? Where you voiceover. You do a
Voiceovers.
voiceover. Um, I have not got to doing the pre-recorded as of right now because I still don't understand how to do that just yet.
Hmm.
Is something that I'm looking at.
Understood. Well, I started streaming like 6 years ago. Um, I don't even remember how I found out about it, but having been in the spotlight before, I know that it's addictive. And I remembered that it was addictive, and I thought to myself, man, this is what I want to do. I like having my name in lights. I like having my face up on the screen. I like to entertain people, whether it's music, acting, writing, playing games, creating content, publishing clips, podcasts, you name it. And there's the element of entertainment is so vast that you can do anything you want as a streamer. I mean, within obviously within reason. Um, but for the most part, I mean, I started out thinking, oh, I'm going to get nice and big. I'm going to make a lot of money and whatnot. That never happened. That didn't happen.
That's I feel that that's going to be a common thing because me and you have discussed many times of game saturation.
Hmm.
You only have so many people who watch streams, but yet you've got hundreds of people that will do streaming it.
Hmm.
So you either got to be good at it or you got to provide some type of entertainment that attracts the person.
Unequivocal. Unequivocal.
And that's the reason I'm saying, if for one, if you're going to do streaming and you're looking at getting into it, you need to have a variety. Because if you, well, it's just like working a regular job for a uh, public company. If which person's going to be uh, what's the word I'm looking for? More valuable. Is it going to be the one guy that does one thing good, or is it going to be the one guy that does multiple things good? The more entertaining you can be by either content as far as gameplay. If you're not good at gameplay, then maybe your gameplay is not going to keep them attracted. But like you do, Uncle Louie,
Hmm.
it,
Uncle
that
Louie. That
that's
guy
some
over there.
that's some of the funniest stuff I've ever heard.
Hmm.
Uh, you do different accents. You actually bring an entertainment side to it that you don't see in a lot of places.
And that's the thing is I'm just goofing off too. Like when I need the distraction whenever, because if anybody who has played any type of shooters or like war games of any kind, you know that there is a certain level of smack talk, uh and just, you know, ranking out somebody's mom, or just, you know, commenting on how bad of a gamer they are or something like that. i I've found, like, much in my own life, like if you walk into a situation and and if you're conscientious about being on camera or being in a room with a bunch of people, or if you have some form of social anxiety disorder and you think you're going to be made fun of, I found many years ago that when you walk into that type of situation, the best thing you can do is make fun of yourself, get everybody to laugh at you, and that totally diffuses the situation, and it gives you the step up, doesn't leave them anywhere to go. So when I started streaming, I knew that I had to come up with something that was original. And I mean, come on, what's more original than a 60 something year old retired plumber from New Jersey?
Right.
I mean, think about the job of being a plumber, of what you have to deal with, and then tell other people, I've been a plumber all my life. I've been dealing with their stuff, and now we got to deal with yours too. You know what I'm saying? So,
Another thing, another aspect of streaming that some people streaming really didn't. It was popular back before COVID, but when COVID hit and we all went into lockdown, I mean, you call it lockdown, I guess. Sorry. uh, when we all went into lockdown, it was one of those of people. A lot of people started streaming after that to have somewhat of a social connection.
exactly.
And so now it's another thing. If you're going to start streaming or looking into it, if you do have a social anxiety to having your face up, you're going to have a tall hill to climb because people have now turned to streaming. They like to see the streamer's face
Hmm.
because it's easier to uh you can what's the word I'm looking for? Helicon, I keep losing it. Relatability. You're more
Yes,
relatable when
much
there's
more relatable.
so that's another facet that I've recently had some experience with. My wife, she loves her cats, and they climbed by here one night while we were asleep, and they chewed through my cord. I got on the next day or next night. I didn't think to look at it, and the next thing I know, I've don't
You
have
were
any cats.
mad.
I can't get it to work. I was irritated because I
You were
already knew
mad.
I already knew that getting to see me streaming is part of the demand,
Hmm.
and so you actually lose another facet to holding viewers.
Hmm. I think one of the other more important things of streaming, especially when it comes to streaming very popular games, like let's pull out a few of them: Fortnite,
Mm.
Minecraft, Call of Duty, um, Rust, Escape from Tarkov. Very, very popular games, very high number counts.
Hmm.
Uh, if you get into streaming and when you start streaming, you're going to be thinking, wow, there's a lot of people going to come to my stream and I'm going to be popular and whatnot. I hate to say this, but you need to get used to disappointment because there will be days, sometimes multiple days, sometimes a week at a time, where you might not get a viewer at all. No one.
Yeah,
Or just your mom. Hi, honey, I'm proud of you, blah, blah, blah. And,
I rely I rely a lot on my family.
mhm,
I have a 7-member family. My sons, they like to watch streaming. They love to watch Call of Duty. So anytime I get on and am on while they're still up, they'll get on their phones on their Twitch and they'll log in and watch. And friends that I have that play, maybe they're away from their computer or their PlayStation or Xbox or whatever, they can't get on and play. So just to have some ability to somewhat feel like they're there, they'll tune into my stream.
mhm. Do you think, in your opinion, do you think that there are both utilitarian and esoteric values to streaming and playing games for other people?
I
Much like
think
the relatability thing we were speaking of?
right. Some of it can be, uh, I would say yes, because there's some of them that maybe do not, maybe they've played in the past, they really like it, but they know that they are not at a playing capability of what they've been going against. And rather than have the irritation and the pressure on themselves, would rather watch someone play it than to actually get in and play it themselves.
So you're saying that there are people out there that like gaming and want to game, but they're bad at it and they don't want to make that, they don't want to put themselves out there like that.
Right. And
So they
especially, I mean,
enjoy it.
I can see it with Call of Duty
Hmm.
uh, on the multiplayer side, not so much the Warzone side because you don't have the direct every single round communication between you and the opposite squad. Where multiplayer, you have, you get an intermission where it replays the final kill, or on some of the other games, it was the best play of the game.
Hmm.
And during this whole time that you're watching this, you've got people on the other side that are talking about how bad you are at the game. And a lot of people have self esteem issues. And for people who battle that, that is a big deterrent. They
Hmm.
won't play because of that, but they can watch, and it's kind of like reading a book. It's a I guess you could say a digital version of reading a book. When you read a book, most people that enjoy reading, while they're reading, they're taking the information that they're reading and they're imagining themselves in that situation. They're actually experiencing the book through imagination. I'm
Exactly.
not one.
Exactly.
I'm not one that can do that. I don't have that ability. But at the same time, for people who are like me that can't read a book and imagine it, live in front of themselves, maybe they turn to, a person streaming a video game, and it's their way of experiencing that game.
One of those examples I would consider for myself would be Fallout, the Fallout series. The Fallout series is from Bethesda Softworks, and well, mostly from Bethesda. It's a post-apocalyptic role-playing game where you take on the character of a vault dweller who comes out into the world to a hellish landscape of radiation and mutants. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to consider myself to be like the mind of my character. Like when my character has to go to a merchant within the game, to an NPC, and has to buy something, when I'm reading, and I'll read off the comments as my character is asking them, but I'll throw in a couple of extra comments in there, just make it entertaining, make it fun. As an actor and a writer, I love superimposing a bit of myself in there, but I also want the game to do the talking.
Right.
And that's part of the role playing aspect for me is I get to be Vaminka, or I get to be Constanza, or who is my other one? Chuck, Big Chuck. I get to roll around as Big Chuck because I'm not Big Chuck. I'm not even anything like Big Chuck, but during the game I can be.
Right. It's like for me, my wife really did, like, she struggled at first about me playing different. Well, actually, it was always pretty much always been Call of Duty until I started streaming, and that's where I started branching out, looking at other games.
Hmm.
Uh, but she there for a little while, it irritated her because I would spend a lot of time on Call of Duty.
Hmm.
When I come home, I work away from home, quite a few days, and then I come home for about 3, sometimes 4. This weekend we got President's Day, so we're having an extended weekend. But she used to get upset, and finally there was one day she sat down and she just kind of had a conversation with herself, and she's like, this is his escape. He comes home from work, he he helps me with the kids whenever the kids start going to bed. That's whenever he gets up and he starts playing, Call of Duty, and it's his way of releasing his stress from the work week.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people that play games due to that. It's a stress relief. It's an escape. You get out of your mind, out of your own. You
Hmm.
can, like you were saying, you can put, basically you're able to get on and log in, and when that game starts, you're no longer Helicon, or you're no longer uh
Helicon's
Joseph.
right. Hmm.
You're no longer yourself. You are the mind of the person you're playing.
Much like a character in a book, when I'm reading, I become part of that character. I become part of that story, even if it's only in my own mind. And I
Right.
love it. I love it. When did you start gaming? When
When
was
did
your when what was your very first gaming experience?
I've always kind of dabbled in it. I come from my family doesn't have a lot of money, so the first gaming system that I ever had was actually the Super Nintendo.
Nice.
I played a lot of Mario. Uh, Later on, I got into playing some of the early football games. I was always real big into
Madden.
football back in school. Madden, yeah.
We
Uh,
played it.
the next system that I had was actually a PlayStation 2.
Hmm.
And I got into my actual first RPG type game was one Legend of the Dragoon, or Legend of Dragoons.
Remember
That
that one.
is, it's an RPG, not multiplayer, but it's a 5 disc set. Like, it was the first long disc set for PlayStation, and there's 5 discs to it.
I do remember it now. I do remember it now. Wow.
it, it took me. I'm not the. I won't ever say that I'm the best game player out there, because I'm not. I've had friends who have played the game, and it took them around a month to 2 months to play it. However, it took me about 6 months to get through it.
Longest game I've ever played, it as a role playing game, it's got to be Eve. I have a character in Eve that is now 18 years old. I've been
Mhm.
playing it since 20 well, 2000 till since 2002 and 2004 respectively. Over the years, I had some living situation problems, so I wasn't always able to have a computer. But I always had friends with games, or I always had somebody who was a gamer, so I was always able to go over. I remember a buddy of mine had a big screen TV. Remember those one big deep ones, foot and a half deep, giant screen TV. And we would take clear tape with boxes and make a four-way divider and like be sitting with our box on our head watching one part of the screen while they're up there looking at the other, so you couldn't look at your buddy's screen. Yeah, that's old school days.
Right.
Old school. And being a
Now,
little bit older than you are, I started way, way back in the 1980s. I started gaming last century. I had to walk both ways uphill through the snow to get to GameStop. Oh wait, GameStop didn't exist then. Everything
yeah,
I got handed down from cousins and whatnot.
you had to go to Walmart or Kmart or something like that to
Walmart didn't
buy.
exist then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, you had to go. You had to go to a
Kmart.
right. You had to go to some type of store like that to get the game. You couldn't just, I want to get a new game. Get on, get on your console or whatever. Log on the internet and I'm going to get this game. You had to actually go to a store and pray that because it's always been the same with people who play games. They never order enough because they want to bring it out, and the store will order enough to get a bunch of people to buy it, and then it creates a demand.
Mhm.
Then they'll order a little bit more, but they're always running out.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you didn't get there in time to buy it whenever they first released it, you had to listen to everybody else that plays it, and then eventually you would get there and be able to get the money to buy it.
Mhm.
Where now, I mean, as long as you got the money to buy it, I mean, you got, like with me, I play PC.
Mhm.
I can literally just get on BattleNet. If there's any type of game that BattleNet does, I can get on and buy it.
Mhm.
Right? Just
Same.
boom. That's something that used to, you had to have money in order to play.
Mhm.
Now, uh, it's a little bit easier
Mhm.
because you don't have to go out and find the game. What store has the game? Then you got to see how much it's going to cost. Then you got to see if you got the money to do it. Then
Then you might
it's
have
a
to
lot.
replace a controller or a camera or a keyboard or
Oh God, heaven forbid if you had to do that. They didn't have them by themselves. You had to buy. You either had to go to a pawn shop
Mhm.
and find it,
Mhm.
or have a friend who had an extra, or something like that, and pray that you could deal them out of it.
Right. So we're going to talk about something that's right now for gamers because we're members. I'm the head, and you are the vice president of our gaming clan, Brotherhood of the Samurai Sword, which is the name of our clan. We've been playing together for about 6 years, all of us. Some of the older members a little more, some of the younger members a little less. Um, One of our biggest games is Call of Duty. Modern
Yep.
Warfare, all of them. Cold War, Modern Warfare 2, Warzone, Warzone 1. The the most recent of the Modern Warfares, Modern Warfare 2.
Okay.
We've all been playing it for 5 months now. And
Is it
part
5?
was it what?
I said, is it 5 months already?
I think so. Yeah, since the beta. And one thing that I know that I myself, you have also done a fair share of complaining, and a bunch of the members have also done a fair share of complaining, is developers putting out a product that is not complete and or broken or glitched. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has been out for 5 months. One of my biggest gripes is the friend request slash game invite menu has been broken that entire time. Now, I paid $70 for this game. If I were to buy a car for $700. You better believe that I want the tires to be inflated. I want the air filter to work. I want the carburetors to be clean. I don't want to get in there and find out that my seatbelt only goes down to my chest. I can't lock it, or the driving steering wheel doesn't go all the way to the right. Why do you think it is that, other than the fact that we're idiots who really just love gaming so much that we don't care, just give us the next new one? Uh, like, I'd like to get your input on the rash that has been for the last 2 years of incomplete product being put out, the the complications therein, and also the ramifications of it. Because as we know now, and we've done a lot of research, we've got a lot of members in the clan who love to do this kind of research. The game's been out for 5 months. It's brand new, and it's already lost 80% of its player base because of these glitches and the brokenness of the game. I'd like to get your input on that before I weigh in on it. Products of broken games, broken products, unfulfilled promises.
I I kind of hate to admit it, but I don't know if you ever watched the movie, the new guy, or not new guy. Sorry, uh, holy cow, I forgot the name of the show.
Describe it.
Uh,
Describe it.
it's basically about a game that's formulated. It's a uh, you go in the show is based off of a game that's been created by a group of people, and it's a really popular multiplayer game, kind of similar to that of Grand Theft Auto. Uh, and basically, you got missions that you have to do, and the basically the NPCs view of this game. It's
Ready
got
Ready
a
Player
AI.
One?
No, it's not Ready Player One. It's
Okay.
I can't think of the name.
Free Guy?
Yes,
Free
yes,
Guy. Okay. Ryan
yes.
Ryan Reynolds, Free Guy.
Right.
Recent movie. Yes. I remember it. I
Yeah.
know of it. I know of it.
That whenever I watched that, I didn't really catch on the first time. I've watched it a couple of times, and then dealing with what we're dealing with out of COD and Activision, all of them, it's basically they know that they have people that are hooked to the game series
I
that
am.
are they're waiting, kind of like what you just described. They're waiting for the next new and better. But it's really not. I mean, literally in that game, the person who was over the game, he wasn't giving them anything new. He was just remasking, revamping, changing little things.
Hmm.
And if he wasn't going to get what he wanted, then they just do away with it, throw it to the side, and start something new.
Hmm.
And I think that the way they have done with COD, because I started playing COD. I'm not like you. I'm not one of those that started playing COD in the 90s.
I
I
only played it briefly in the early 2000s with my nephew,
Okay.
but I
See,
only
I
started playing it at Cold War
the
two and a half
only
years ago.
whenever I literally started getting into Call of Duty was they say it was they say hands down it was the best remake, or not remake of a game, but the next level of a game
Hmm.
in a series. But it was Modern Warfare 2019.
Hmm. I play it.
Hands down, I enjoyed every aspect of it. It was. Hang on just a second.
Hmm. I enjoyed every one of them except for one map called Rust. It's so small. It's basically like dropping 12 people into a shoebox, and there's no hiding spots. There's no tactical value. Bang die, bang die, bang die. That's the only one I didn't like about that one. Piccadilly Circus was awesome. I loved that map. I know you didn't like that one.
I
Um,
I I didn't like that one,
mhm.
but I think what it is they're banking on the nostalgia, because with whenever I played Modern Warfare, 2019. They started. I started in season. I want to say it was season 3
Mhm.
was whenever I first got the game and started playing.
Mhm.
They shortly, I think about 2 seasons later, is whenever they started saying they're bringing out Cold War.
Mhm.
They brought out the beta of Cold War in, I think it was six, season 5 or season 6 of Modern Warfare. They brought out the beta for Cold War. I really enjoyed Modern Warfare 2019. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and buy, just to have the early access to the beta. I'm going to go ahead and buy Cold War. I'm going to pre-order it.
Mhm.
So that was me not realizing it. They were banking on the nostalgia of Modern Warfare, and they really done. I mean, I'll say this much: they done a really good job of advertising and promoting the game.
Very good.
The way that I viewed the game on trailers and little sneak peeks, it seemed like it was going to be way better than Modern Warfare.
Mhm.
So I was like, heck yeah. They brought out the beta. The beta, I was not impressed. I even told some of the people that I was playing with at the time, because I hadn't met y'all. The group that I was running with at the time, it was a constant debate really with them on, are we going to move to the next game, or are we going to keep playing Modern Warfare? And I told them, I said, if I wouldn't have already bought the the pre-order,
Mhm.
I would have done it. After playing the beta, I wouldn't have done it. Now, granted, it took me, I don't know, I think it was out for, I know it was the second season
Mhm.
of of Cold War, whenever I actually started playing Cold War on a regular basis. And eventually, because that's the new one, that's where everybody's at, kind of mentality of, I guess it's a form of peer pressure, I guess. Everybody left Modern Warfare in 2019, went to Cold War. I started playing Cold War because I want the interaction.
Mhm.
I've met a lot of good people, not met, but associated with a lot of good people. And so, in order to keep having that portion of the game, which is an aspect of the game, I had to move to Cold War. Then Vanguard, they brought Vanguard out. Once again, great job of promoting it. Great
Ugh.
making that seem like that was a good, awesome game.
Mhm.
I, however, was so disappointed with Cold War that I did not buy the pre-order of Vanguard. I literally said I'm going to give it a little while after they release it,
Mhm.
and then I'll see. Well, they released it, and I think it was on a holiday, because I know every holiday they try to pick up orders, and they will release it like free for a weekend
Mhm.
where you can play the core side.
Mhm.
Now, of course, I've all myself, a lot of the guys we game with have always been about the hardcore side.
Hardcore side is there are you have less armor and less life points, like 30%. So it's more of a one shot kill over pow 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 pow. Then you're done.
Right,
So yeah, it's a bit more strategic. It's a bit more. You got to be careful. Every shot has to count. You can give away your position. They can hear your steps. It's very very tactical based. I like that. Yeah.
right. And so, since since I didn't buy the game, I knew I had a bunch of friends that were on it. So whenever they done the free play weekend, I downloaded the game. I went ahead and went in and started playing with some of my friends. Of course, once again, most of my friends that I play with are on hardcore, so they tried, and it's like, nope, we're not going to let him do this. So I'd get kicked out of lobby. I'd find a way to get a hold of them, let them know, hey, I can't play that because I'm on the free to play. I did not buy it. Then we went in and played some core, and that's whenever I really seen that I didn't like. They all modern COD has always tried to say that they are uh, authentic.
Hmm.
It they try to hang their hat on a real life game style. Vanguard, they kind of, I'm
Went
not gonna.
way off the mark.
they went way off the mark on it. I mean, they didn't back in World War II. They did not have remote control tanks.
Yeah.
There's
Lasers, laser
aspects.
sights.
There's many
Yeah.
aspects that we could get into, but it's a long list.
Well, the
But it
thing
was
about Vanguard that I think would have made the absolute pinnacle of difference was at the very beginning of a black screen, it said somewhere in an alternate universe. If it would have said that, that 4 words of exposition would have been enough to go, oh, okay. But
right.
it was so fantastical as you're going to put out a World War II game, but you're going to put things in there that never happened in World War II. No remote control tanks, no laser sights, no, no. I mean, there were handles on weapons, foregrips on weapons, but they were rigged by the soldiers. It wasn't but every single weapon in Vanguard's got one, which is.
Another thing that really intrigued me and kind of made me want to play the game
Mhm,
was I can remember one trailer or sneak peek that they let out where they actually brought in natural disasters.
mhm,
It was the war zone side, I think, that they were advertising at that time,
mhm,
but it actually showed like you're moving, doing stuff through thunderstorms. It
mhm,
showed getting blown up by lightning.
mhm,
It showed a tornado. It showed a hurricane making landfall, and the way that they positioned it was subconsciously making you think, hey, this is going to be a new thing. Not only do I have to worry about the other players, but then I've got to also pay attention to, these different types of natural disasters. And that
mhm,
was, for me, that was one thing that I was like, that'd be kind of cool. You're in
mhm.
a gun battle and all of a sudden you got this massive thunder that comes
Whoa!
up. You've got to think, okay, where can I go to get out of the way of this? And how can I do it without getting shot and killed?
Mhm.
It was
Yep.
going to throw another angle into it that I didn't see. Now, once again, this is nothing against the creators. It's just what it was perceived to be.
Mhm. All right.
So
So for our final segment for this episode, we're going to talk. We've already talked about solo games. We've already talked about multiplayer games. We're going to talk about one of our favorite subjects is the MMORPGs, the massive multiplayer online role-playing games. One of which being Eve Online. One of our favorite games. Uh, it will always be one of even despite the recent events of what happened to me in the game that I won't get into. Um, it's always going to be one of my favorite games because it's so different. The deal with MMORPGs is if anybody that is not a gamer is watching this and they're wanting to learn, this is a game where everyone in the game that is on the server is a human. Every person that you're playing up against is going to be a human or an NPC, but it's an in-game NPC that is meant to be there as a person to get your supplies from, to get your weapons, to get your armor, your ships. Your opinion on MMORPGs like World of Warcraft, Eve Online? I'm guessing that Minecraft is also a
I,
MMORPG.
I guess I don't know. I guess I have a certain standard of game that I see as for. I guess it's a personal preference, really.
Hmm.
It, that if I wanted to play a game like Minecraft, then I would go back to the pixelated games of you know Super Nintendo,
Yeah,
Nintendo,
the
stuff
16-bit
like that.
drivers. Yeah.
I don't. It seems to be more of a, and I know it's probably because I don't play it myself,
Hmm.
but never had that appeal to me to want to play it. My kids watch streams of people who are streaming it all the time on YouTube and Twitch of streaming Minecraft, and they enjoy it. But me myself, as far as Minecraft, I don't like it because it seems like it's a kid game.
Hmm.
I don't. I like a realistic game
Same.
for me,
Very, very, very much the same.
and So for me, the massive multiplayer like Eve, I do enjoy it.
Hmm.
You One reason I enjoy Eve as much as I do is because you don't have just one. You don't hang on just a second.
Go right ahead.
Sorry, my kids are in the background.
No worries.
Um, the reason I like playing Eve is there's not a literal set of you have to do this to get to this point, to this point, to this point, to this point.
It's not linear. Yep.
You can literally, at the drop of a hat, if you are trying to be a what they would say is a villain or a
Hmm.
pirate,
Hmm.
you go from being one of the worst ranked pirates, high security level. Anytime you go anywhere where you're in a high sec, you're always being watched. You can literally at any time decide, okay, I don't want to be this anymore. I'm going to go a legit route.
Become an
Or
astro miner.
right, like you,
Like me.
you like to mine. Me myself, I'm more into the mission based
Hmm.
for Soldier of Fortune,
Hmm.
Enforcer. So I run a lot of missions. You do a lot of mining. Once again, at any time that I decide that say I have here lately, I've got tired of running the missions for Soldier of Fortune and the Enforcer. So I've went out, bought a venture, went and started doing mining missions. They have mining missions.
Hmm.
Or you can not, you can just go out completely on your own and you can search for wormholes. You can mine you can mine if you want to. You can go in and be a processor where you create ships and ammunition and
That's what I do.
rig stuff like that.
We're weapons.
It,
We're arms dealers. We're the bigger arms. We're one of the bigger arms dealers in Eve. We don't want to fight anybody. We just want to make the weapons that everybody can fight with. Give us your money and go blast them.
but it really is an interesting. That's really the only experience with a massive
Hmm.
RPG that I have, or MMORPG, is Eve.
Hmm.
But like I said, the reason I like it is because it's not a it's not a objective driven type game.
Linear game where you have to follow a preset path and do what the game wants you to do. You could just say, "Oh, main story. What's over here?"
Now, one thing that I had an experience with, uh, I downloaded the Eve Echoes, which is the sister. It's the mobile version of
Hmm.
Eve. The one thing that I've seen from both of them is they advertise to be a free to play,
Hmm.
and you can, but the
But
downside is you're not going to be able to use some of the attachments and some of the other stuff ships they've got.
modifications and
Don't have
bays and whatnot. Yep.
right. If you don't have Omega, you
Hmm.
can't do it. Well, in order to obtain Omega, you can't just go out here and complete some missions and get Omega.
Nope.
You have to go to
You have
their
to
online
spend real world money.
and you have to pay $20 a month to get 1 month worth of Omega. And God forbid, if you're like me, once again, I don't have a lot of money. I've got a family of seven.
Yep.
I, there's sometimes I can't afford the $20 a month.
Hmm.
So literally, my gameplay goes to nothing because all my ships now, in order to be able to be powerful enough to complete the missions, because
You
they
have
do get
pay to
more,
play.
you have to pay to play.
Yes, sir.
So there's been months that I haven't been able to play because literally I don't have the 20 months or $20 to pay, and I can't use my ships.
Hmm. That's one of
Uh,
my biggest gripes as well.
it if they were going to make that move, I would rather them be, hey, you can, at least let somebody know because literally this is something that has occurred over the last, like I said, I've been playing it for a year and a half. I
Hmm.
think he started doing this probably about 6 to 8 months ago,
Hmm.
where
There
they
was, it was been a little bit longer than that, but yeah.
has it. But anyways, so they didn't ever bring out a release. I'm subscribed to their newsletter.
Hmm.
I went all in on this because I enjoyed playing it. I wanted to know all the new and upcoming things. So I subscribed to their newsletter. I
Hmm.
never got a newsletter saying, hey, we're going to change things up a little bit. You're not going, if you're going to do free to play, then you
Hi
can't use
guys.
things.
Hi, this is Anna. I'm
Hey,
so sorry, guys. The stream's going really well, but we have an anime panel here in a few minutes, so we
no
need to
problem.
wrap up. Sorry.
Okay, well, this is MtHelicon2077 and
But you guys can
Viper7485.
finish your chat here, but just so you know what's
Ah,
going
we're
on.
okay. Okay, we're okay. We're both on Twitch. You can find us at Viper7485 and MtHelicon2077. We stream daily. Um, any final words, Viper?
Just come out and give us a try. If you like the content, subscribe, follow. We'll be there for a while.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining, Viper and Joe.
Thank you
Thank
so much, Anna. It was a pleasure being here. Really.
you. Have a
Thank
good one.
you.
Especially
Bye-bye.
discussing something we're so passionate about. So have a great one, everybody.
You too.
Cool. Groovy.